What's up, guys? Zach Melton here with Dynamic Disc, and you all are listening to the Clankers podcast.
You're listening to the Clankers podcast with your hosts, Quentin Ferris and Horatio Gonzalez. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Clankers.
Hello, what's going on, everyone? We have another great episode for you guys. I am here with Quentin, like always. We got a chance to sit down today with Zach Melton. Really good conversation, but I will let Quentin here take it over and tell you guys what you can expect from this episode this week.
I like the hello. I don't think we've heard that one before. I like the hello entryway. Fun episode, super fun episode. Zach was a great guy to talk to. We talk about his disc golf journey, as we like to do with everyone. And, just like everyone else, there is no two disc golf stories are the same. This guy was getting booed literally at his third tournament. You're going to want to make sure you listen to how and why that happened. The story is unreal. We also talk about the DDO and just kind of the meaning behind it and how the fans have really kind of changed the disc golf atmosphere right now, as well as we do talk a little bit about his injury and a little bit of updates to that and kind of how that has affected his play. And then something super fun that I didn't know, apparently Eric Oakley is scared to play Zach Melton in pickleball. So if you're listening to this right now, tag Eric and Zach and us, the Chain Clankers, on Instagram. Put it on your story and say that Eric is scared to play Zach. We would be very interested in seeing that match. I know I definitely would be interested in seeing it. We also really talk about dialing in your accuracy. I think that's something that's super important. Zach does as well, is that, being an accurate disc golfer allows you to have better drives, make more putts, take strokes off your game. And that's what we want to do with this Chain Clankers. We want to be able to take strokes off your game and improve your game. So we have a fantastic conversation about that. You're going to want to make sure you stay tuned through the end. Zach has an awesome answer during the ace round that we have not heard yet. So you absolutely must stay until the end to hear that answer. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, a like rating is highly appreciated. If you're not listening on YouTube and maybe your Apple Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, I don't know if Spotify does it or not, but if you could leave us a rating and review, we would highly appreciate that. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Let us know what we can get better at, and we'll take all that into consideration. But without further ado, I think we're ready to bring Zach on, so let's go ahead and let's get Zach on the podcast. Zach, welcome into the Chain Clankers podcast. Super excited to have you on today's show. How are you doing today, man?
Dude, I'm doing good. How about you all?
We're good. We got to play around today. Did you get any disc in today?
No. I've been chilling since I got home from DDO, so no frisbee for me yet.
Yeah. Where's home for you?
East Tennessee, Northeast Tennessee, Kingsport specifically. Okay.
Nice. I was gonna say I feel as though a lot of people know you as the guy with the Tennessee Volunteers swag and or drip on the course, as the kids are calling it today.
Yeah, I try to represent as much as I can, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Has Tennessee been home base for you for a long time? Is that where you're from?
Yeah, born and raised.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, all my whole family's from here. Never really thought about moving away. Never really thought about going anywhere. Used to think I was in a terrible place for disc golf because you had to travel, to go places. But now I realize, hey, I'm actually in a great spot.
Tennessee's beautiful.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a spot where you're not like, damn, I really have to drive completely coast to coast in order to get to a tournament. You're kind of sort of in the middle to where it's not too bad to go anywhere.
Yeah, there's great golf in the Southeast for sure. Really good area.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's take it all the way back, where Zach's story starts. Take us to the beginning, how you discovered disc golf.
Okay, so the first time I ever heard it mentioned was by my older brother. I've got a big family of, I got two older brothers, older sister, younger sisters, but I remember specifically my older brother talking about it with my parents. I think I was like in middle school. I remember him talking about playing frisbee golf at the park, and I was like, dude, that sounds so nerdy. Like, who's going outside and throwing a frisbee and play? I got, whatever. And then fast forward to after I graduate high school, a good friend of mine who was a year older had been playing when he went to college. And so that summer, you know, he invited me and another good buddy to go play. And like literally from the first time I went, I was like 1000% hooked. Like
Yeah.
making something fly, you know, watching it and like, dude, I was hooked. That's like all we did that summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of really didn't play for about a year or so, and then the following summer picked it up again, and then that's when I discovered like the local disc golf scene, you know, like the local club, like random draw doubles, and like I've always played sports my whole life, always competed, and so finding an avenue where you can compete with disc golf because like I loved it, but then like oh wow we can do this, we can be competitive with it, and I was head over heels diving in, dude. I was all about it, loved it.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you really didn't even start throwing a disc in the first place until you were in your college years.
I was the summer that I graduated high school was the first time I ever threw a disc. I had thrown a
Okay.
frisbee and I was like, wow, these are terrible to throw.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, no one really knows how to throw a frisbee, right? But yeah, so I was 18, and that was the first time I threw a disc, and I was hooked.
And then real quick, about what age probably I'm going to say, because you said you stopped a year and then kind of got back into it the year after that.
Mhm.
So probably around that 2021-ish mark is when you kind of really started to find that competitive avenue and kind of take it really seriously.
Yeah, definitely. At the time, those first few years, it was just like going out and throwing like discs with buddies, you know, and like we loved it. We played all the time. Like there was a little local beginner course here in Kingsport. You know, we'd go play that like two, three, four times a day, you know, and
Hmm.
so we'd play all day. We loved it. But then when I found the competitive side, it was like, oh wow, this is awesome, you know, and that's when I really went after it. Kind of started
So
playing
that
more.
so then you were like, yeah, I love this. I'm going to go on tour. Let's do it. Boom. Is that how it happened?
No, definitely not. So I discovered tournaments, and it was 2009 was when I got my PDJ number. That was when I was like, okay, I'm playing a lot, right? But I really only I played four PDJ events that year, an amateur, or an advanced. Like I never played in anything below advanced, just jumped into advanced. Loved playing, and then I thought I was playing a lot at the time, but I wasn't playing like a lot of events really. And so you can kind of see it on my like PDJ history. It's like 2010, 2011. Like I gradually played a little more and a little more and a little more. Um, and then I think it was 2010. I first met Will Schustrick. He's a fellow Tennessee boy. Met him at a local event. We hit it off. We were buddies and kind of kept in touch with Will over the years. And um, like I remember talking to him, I would say like around 2013, 2014. He was like, yo, man, if you ever want to play one of the big events, just fly out. I'll pick you up. You know, you're good. And that kind of stuck with me, you know, and I hadn't really given it much thought like to touring, but always wanted to kind of like, man, it'd be fun to play a big one, right? And I think 2015, um, that off season, I just took a chance. I messaged Will. I was like, hey man, I'd love to if I'd like to go out and play Memorial, you know, and check out some of the big events, and he let me jump in the car with him, and that was like my first taste of touring. Really was that 2015 season.
Yeah, so he was clearly someone who was really influential and important in your disc golf journey. A quick question I had about that before we moved on. You talked about how you just jumped right into advanced. You didn't really, intermediate or rec, didn't really do any of that. Would you recommend that to people listening to this who might be jumping into tournaments? Like, do you think it would be a good idea to just challenge yourself and go right into advanced, or do you think people should kind of take the opposite approach and start in rec, get a feel for it, then kind of progressively move forward?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on your goals, really, or
Hmm.
like what you're shooting for. Sorry, I got choked up,
No, you're good, man.
choking on my own spit over here. uh, yeah, I feel like it's kind of like your goals or kind of what you're shooting for. Like when I joined the PDJ, I'd already been playing disc golf for a few years, and like I'd already kind of become a good amateur in my local area. So when I joined the PDJ, I was like, I'm already one of the best AMs here. I'm just going to play advanced because that's like the highest amateur spot. I kind of look at it both ways because I think it's important to learn how to win. Like I think you need to be in those situations where
Yeah.
you're battling when it comes down to the end of the stretch, and you need to learn how to win, which means you're going to lose. You need to learn and go through that process. But I also think, the fastest way to get better is to go against people better than you. That was my entire life growing up playing basketball. Like I wanted to play against older guys. I wanted to play against guys that would basically embarrass me on the court because like that's the only way to get better. You don't get better just beating up on guys that you already know you're better than. You're not pushing yourself. So I think that's like kind of like a two-edged sword. Like you need
Yeah.
that experience, but you also don't just like, oh, I'm going to play 38 amateur events and win like half of them. Like,
Yeah. That's very interesting because I know Quentin experienced this a little bit. And that's one thing with disc golf. Some people are able to pick up the sport and get very good at it very quickly. And they do tournaments, and to them in their head, they're still new players. They're still learning. But to everyone else, they're really good. And
yeah,
Quentin, he played a tournament to where, I think you won, or you came in like second or something like that.
Yeah, I
And
had a throw off for third and ended up picking it up.
And people were upset about that. They're like, "Oh, these two guys should not be in this division. They should be in the next division up. Like, why are you guys playing even in this division?" But to him, like, he's only been playing for a year or so he's trying to get that confidence. He's trying to get that experience. And if he bumps up immediately, he's going to be in that bottom tier. And all he's going to know, if he is not at that level yet, like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not good enough. And instead of what you're talking about, building that confidence, building that, being in those situations where like, can I make this putt to win this? And
yeah,
I think that's very interesting because you see that a lot in tournaments.
yeah. Funny story. I believe it was my third ever PDJ tournament. I was playing advanced. That was in 2009, and it was in Blacksburg, Virginia. And so my first PDJ rating was 987. It was my home course, and then it was the first ever course I ever traveled to play. So I had played both of them a lot. Um, so I go to Blacksburg, Virginia to play in advanced, and first round from the shorts, I tied the hot round for the pro lead. And dude, that's all I heard. This guy's 987 rated. Why is he playing AM? This guy's a bagger. This guy's this and that. It's like literally my third ever tournament.
Yeah.
Um, and I end up winning advanced by a lot. And like, I remember getting booed because, dude, they call it the winner. I just remember guys were so salty. And it's like, I had a buddy there. He was like, dude, this is his third ever tournament. Like, and they're like, he's rated so high. It's like, people just, I feel like it's just always looked at like, oh, if you're doing well, then you're a bagger, like kind of the same thing that he dealt with.
Wow, that's crazy. I guess I mean, I imagine you probably didn't care that they were saying, but someone who maybe potentially is like, oh, I really don't want to hear that. Like any words of wisdom for like dealing with a situation like that?
I mean, it honestly doesn't matter what other people think. It really doesn't. Everybody, we're kind of conditioned to care, or like we're self-conscious, but like it doesn't really matter. Like I was having fun throwing discs with my buddies. I wanted to go play a tournament, went and played it. It was kind of like, wow, why are they mad at me? But I also knew it was like my third ever tournament. It's like, and I moved up to pro pretty quickly after that, but still, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Haters gonna hate.
It is a very weird, especially with the amount of new players, the amount of people that come in and pick it up right away, and they don't know that they're going to be good. And to them, like, they don't feel comfortable playing with the guys that they've been playing for 5-6 years. You can't blame them. They have to figure it out. They have to figure out the rules. Just because you play good doesn't mean that you've figured out, like, disc golf. There's a lot of little rules, a lot of small stuff that people that have been playing for 5 years know about, that someone that's 987 or 990 rated doesn't know about because they're brand new.
Yeah, I mean, what's like going back to like my experience? What's to say they don't know the weekend before I played an advanced tournament, I averaged like 800 and got dead last, and then you just show up the next week and you play good. Like that's pretty much disc golf. There's like highs and lows, so you really don't know. I mean, unless some guy's showing up and he's played his like 30th advanced tournament in a row and he's won like 28 of them, then like
Yeah.
Most of the time you just don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So how long, I guess, you said you moved up to pro pretty quickly. How long were you in the game taking it competitively seriously before you moved up to pro? I know you said in 2015 you started to go on kind of sort of a tour, maybe playing a couple of big tournaments every now and then. I'm assuming that was in the pro division.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Let's see, 2010 was the first year I played pro. Um, and then I would say from 2010 to like 2013-ish, like I played pro, but it was more regional stuff, like in Tennessee, some Virginia, some North Carolina, like very close to home. And then 2014 is when I started playing a lot more. Like I was pro, I wasn't touring, but I think I played like over 20 tournaments that year. So I was really trying to get out there. Um, and play as much as I could and kind of get my rating up and just trying to play as much disc golf as I could. That's what I wanted to do. And then kind of towards the end of that year, seeing a semi successful year, I was like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to go play one of the big ones, and it just kind of took the splash and just signed up for Memorial. I was like, hey buddy, can I go with you? And he let me go, and the rest is kind of history from there.
How did that tournament work out for you? How did that go?
The Memorial in
Mhm.
2015. I'm pretty sure I got 13th.
Okay.
So it went well. Went
Yeah.
well. I mean, I didn't know how it would go. I think we played. Um, Actually, I think I got 10th at Memorial and 13th at Vegas because that was when Vegas was at Sunset Hills
Mm.
or Sunset Park before they started using Wild Horse. So I had a good start.
Was there any moment like really early on that maybe made you question like the decision to go to more of these big time tournaments and almost made you be like, maybe this kind of pro level disc golf thing isn't for me?
My first World Championships was actually 2012. It was in Charlotte, so it was very close. And I think at the time I hadn't even played an A tier. Like I'd played B tiers, and then I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna play Worlds. It's close."
Yeah.
And dude, I got rocked. I was not ready for a major level courses and that competition. Like I think I don't want to get it wrong. I either got like 98th or like 101st. Like I tied Terry Miller overall. You can go look it up. It's very funny. Didn't know him at the time. And I actually played with Johnny V that tournament, I remember. So it was pretty cool. But like, um, yeah, man, like I played that tournament and like I think one round out of the six was actually like a good round, and the rest of them I just like pooped my pants, dude. It was so bad. And I was just like, man, these courses are hard. I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah. So break that down a little bit for us. We're last year there was no Worlds. This year I'm not sure if they've said anything yet, but how does that break down as far as the dates and the courses? How did that go for you?
Uh, like the World Championships this year.
Yeah, as far as just like the schedule, how they break that down.
Um, I'm pretty sure it's a couple weeks after the second Portland event. You know how they have Portland Open, and then it was supposed to be Beaver State Fling, but it got
Yeah.
canceled, and now they're having the other one. Sorry, I can't think of the name of it, but I'm actually only playing Portland Open, and then I'm flying back home, gonna rest for a week, and then make my way to Utah, which is where Worlds is this year. It's two courses, and best case scenario, you'd like to get at least a week early, a week there, and try to get prep for the courses. I've never played there. I know a lot of guys played like Utah Open in the past, so I've not played it yet. But in theory, hopefully getting there a week. My body, I can't really play or practice as much as I used to, like leading up to tournaments. I have rheumatoid arthritis and Lyme disease, and it's just and I'm older. I'm 33, so like travel days and all that, it kind of takes a toll on your body. So I've kind of got to manage how much I play leading up to it and take rest days, which is hard for me because I like to go all the time.
Yeah.
So
And I'm going to take this moment to talk about a little bit about your injury coming into this season. For those who don't know, could you maybe explain a little bit what was going on with you prior to the season? Because if I'm correct, Waco was your first event this year, correct?
yes.
Okay,
Correct.
cool. So maybe just talk a little bit about that and how you're feeling now and getting to that preparation for Portland and the Worlds and beyond.
Okay, so last season, we had COVID happen. Season got canceled. It was gone. And I was actually playing a lot of golf at home at that time. And once the season started up, I don't really remember a specific tournament or like place where it happened, but I just noticed like more and more trouble from my right knee. And then by the end of the season, it was just like I'd have to take a day or two off before the tournament to play. Like it was just if I would practice 2 or 3 days leading into a tournament, then play the 3 or 4 round tournament, dude, my knee looked like a softball and it just wasn't good. And so I finally went and got it looked at, went to the doctor, got an MRI, and we got the results back that I had a meniscus tear in my right knee. And so we kind of went down quick where, we got in to see a surgeon. He said, hey, we can get you in really fast. We're going to go do it in an outpatient facility. We got you. Let's get you fixed up. And this was in December. And then pretty much it just wasn't allowed to happen because of COVID and everything. And so I had to wait till January. So it basically got pushed back like a month, which kind of had me worried about the timeline because like I really wanted to play Waco, which I'd never played before. It's always conflicted with the Virginia Team Invitational, VTI, which is a big team tournament on the East Coast. I'll never miss it. It's like my favorite tournament ever. But yeah, so I really wanted to be ready for Waco and play it. So having my surgery mid-January, it was tough. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it. So went to rehab. And with my injury, he said normally I wouldn't have to do rehab. It's just kind of like chill and just let it get back. But I told him basically I had a timeline. I wanted to be ready to play. And so went to physical therapy for 2 months, well, month and a half pretty much. And was given the okay to play at Waco. But it's kind of like I'm good to play, but I also have to kind of manage it and not just go crazy and ham on it and just kind of re-injure it. So I'm good, but also have to kind of take it easy sort of.
Do you find yourself having to kind of change your playing style or like how you attack a course because of the injury?
I wouldn't say I have to change the way I'm playing, but like, let's say Waco, there's a week off in Texas State's like basically I didn't go out for like extra practice until Jonesboro. Like I would get a round in, maybe a half round after that, but like I wasn't able to go out and practice putt for a few hours. I wasn't able to go out and like get extra reps because I knew that if I overdid it on my knee, then I would have like, some trouble off of it. So I was wanting to play. I was trying to get like the minimum practice I could get in. And I knew, coming back from the injury, like I wasn't going to be myself all the way yet, but I definitely wanted to play. So it's just been kind of dealing with being okay with like, I've had to tell myself no expectations, right? Just I'm able to play, which is great. That's what I want. And I know I'm not myself yet, but it's going to come. So having to deal with that.
Any sort of, I guess, mental timeline for yourself to kind of get back to that 100% or just kind of trying to make sure you take it easy, prolong your career, and ensure you can play as long as you possibly want to?
Mentally, I feel like it's going to be probably towards the end of the season. I think there's more mental block right now than physical block. Definitely what's happening at Texas State's like those first events. It was like, I know I'm okay, but like, does my brain trust that I'm okay? And like there were errors, there were miscues, and that's just going to be part of it. But trying not to get discouraged and beat myself up or be too harsh on myself because I know that like I'm not going to be clicking on all cylinders yet. So that's been the biggest key right now is just kind of giving myself a little leeway, like not being too harsh.
So do you, knowing that, do you kind of pick the events that you go to differently, or are you sticking to the same schedule that you normally would?
My schedule is definitely a little different than most people, or most of the touring guys. Like I don't stay on the road like 10 months straight. I do a lot of extra driving where I go out on the road and then I come back home. I go out on the road and I come back home. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I kind of hit the refresh button when I come home, see my family, see my wife, my kittens, like, just my nephews, go watch them play soccer or baseball or whatever, like kind of enjoying life and then going back out and playing disc golf. So, I am trying to make a few more of the bigger ones. I would say usually I play like 70 to 80% of them. And I think this year I'm trying to just miss a couple Pro Tours. So I'm going to try to hit all those plus the NTs, um, Worlds, which is in Utah. Trying to hit all the big ones though.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, in our recent episode when we talked to Ben Calloway, which was a fantastic episode. If you haven't listened to it, definitely go check it out. Ben has an incredible story. We saw him on another couple of lead cards here at the DDO. So if you haven't listened to it, check it out. You also learn some things about your driving form, and you'll be a better disc golfer afterwards. But with that said, he mentioned the same thing about going home really hits that refresh button. Do you think that gives you any kind of an advantage? Like, do you see maybe a spike in performance or finishes after you have gone home and then go back out to the next tournament?
I mean, I think it definitely helps me. I feel like when you're on the road, like all those other guys, your road warriors, like I feel like it's easy for it to wear you down, and get kind of for the road, to kind of beat you up, so to speak. Especially if you have a couple rough tournaments in a row, you're just out there. All you're thinking about is playing disc golf, and I've got to do better. And like, it's kind of nice to just take a break, even for a week, go home, just not think about disc golf. Like, if I play disc golf, man, I get to go out with my buddies and just do a bunch of trash talking, fun, just casual rounds. I mean, that's what it's about, is having fun, and enjoying it. So I think it definitely helps me a lot.
Yeah, I know. Even for myself, just casual, rec player. I sometimes, if it's busy or if the weather doesn't permit, I don't go out play for a week or two. And then when I do actually go back and play, I feel like my game is better than I remembered it last time I went out. Like, I feel like my body, I don't know, missed it or whatever, and I play a lot better. So I feel like it's tough for those guys on the road to feel like they have to be consistently good. And when it's the thing that they're doing every single day, to be at that level, all the time, it must get pretty stressful, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's really good to have like an outlet or something else that you can do on the side. Like, I know a bunch of the guys like to go rock hounding, just doing something different. Me and some of my buddies, we play pickleball. We've discovered that and started doing that. I love to go shoot basketball. I used to play a lot, played my whole life. I don't really want to do the all running up and down and playing, thing anymore, but just shooting a basketball on a goal is like therapeutic. There's just something to it. So just finding those outlets where you can kind of just be stress free is important.
Now, on some other podcasts, I have heard about the pickleball community within disc golf right now in the pros, and I'm pretty sure I saw it on your story the other day. You and Calvin playing some pickleball. So, how would you rate yourself compared to the other guys on tour in like the pickleball power rankings? Are you the best pickleball guy out there?
All right, so the people that I know play, like, me, Calvin, Chris, Eric, which Eric hasn't played this year yet. Like, he's complaining about his elbow. He's scared. He's trying to blame it on some elbow. Like, oh, if I come play pickleball, I'll hurt it. But he's out here throwing discs as hard as he can. So give me a break, bro. Give me a break. But anyways, we got like Madison Walker to come out and play. A couple of the prodigy guys, Alden Harris and Ezra Robinson, have been coming out and playing when we've played. So, yeah, I think if we were doing a rankings, like, it's either me or Dickerson in the top spot. I think we've been playing probably the longest. Calvin's not too far behind. Eric's not too far behind. Madison picked it up pretty good, and Alden Harris has picked it up pretty quick too.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is it like? Because Calvin's from Florida, and then Chris Dickerson is from where, I forget.
Chris lives where I live. He's from here, East Tennessee.
Yes. So what's up with you? Like, just southeastern guys, just like running the pickleball scene.
I don't know, maybe because we've been playing it the longest. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we did play at DDO with Dixon Jowers, who is a local Emporia guy, plays for DD. And he definitely wanted to me and Chris have been talking smack to Dixon for a couple of years now about pickleball. And that was the first time we finally got to play with them. And those guys play like league nights every week. Like, they're good. And so, yeah, but it was fun getting to play with them for sure.
Did they beat you guys?
Yes. So it was Dixon, and then probably the best guy out of their league, and like Dixon
Okay.
set it up where they played me and Chris like first match.
Okay.
And like they 1000% wanted to beat us 11-0. They wanted to skunk us, but I think it was
No.
like 11-3 or 11-4. So we didn't get skunked. We didn't get
Yeah.
skunked.
Yeah.
That's good. At least you were able to hold them off. Pickleball is low key pretty fun. I haven't played pickleball in a hot minute, but I've been telling my girlfriend that I want to get into pickleball and I want to pick me up a little set because it looks a lot of fun on the Instagram and when I'm hearing about it.
Dude, it's a blast. It's so much fun. I've been telling people for weeks. I'm like, dude, pickleball's way more fun than disc golf.
That's funny. Probably less moving around. Probably the steps won't be as high because it's in a much more concise area. Because it's like
It's
half of a tennis court, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the lengthwise. Widthwise, it's like a little smaller.
Okay.
But
You
it's
get
more moving than you think. It's like good cardio.
you get your
It's
sweat
good.
on.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's a workout
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. But let's talk a little bit about DDO. I'm always interested because me and Quentin, we're here from Kansas. We weren't able to make it up this year, and last year we weren't able to make it out there. But tell me a little bit about what DDO is like on the tour. What that course is like for everyone, the expectations, and like just what kind of that tournament, what the vibe is for that for everyone on tour.
That tournament is it's not really a tournament. It's like an experience. Like you're in this little tiny town. I don't know how many people live in Emporia, but I feel like it's in the hundreds. And like
That's funny.
everyone knows what disc golf is. Like everywhere you
Yeah.
go,
Yeah,
there are signs up, welcome disc golfers, welcome disc golfers. Like you go into restaurants and if they have TVs, they're playing the tournament. It's just nuts, man. It's just like you
yeah,
feel like you are in a like disc golf heaven sort of. Honestly, obviously my sponsor is Dynamic Disc, so like I love being there, get to be with my DD family, like I got to check out the new warehouse, which they're working on moving into. They're kind of moved into, but still working on, and it's like 3.5 times bigger than the old one. It's just crazy, it's just insane, like getting to see how big it is and how much the sport is growing, and then seeing the fans come out this year. I mean, it was nuts. It looked like a world championships. It really did. It was just, it's bizarre. You can't go anywhere without being recognized. Kind of like it's fun, but
yeah,
also kind of like, wow, this is kind of nuts too. And I feel like I don't know. So the courses aren't my favorite. They're open, they're windy. It's Kansas. What are
yeah.
you going to do about it? But the vibe and the experience and like the feeling of being at this tournament is like it's up there with the best of the year for sure.
Yeah, it definitely, outside of, I'm going to say Ledgestone, I feel like there's not any other tournament that's super big on like marketing the event to the public.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Ledgestone does a really good job. They've literally got players who, market it and sell discs and all that stuff. So
Hmm.
they're fine. But like DDO truly is an experience, and we hopefully will be able to be there next year. And fans, I think also at Jonesboro, fans were back for that event as well. So like any kind of like emotional boost, just having the fans there. You talked about how it's a small little town. Definitely drove by a bunch of smaller towns on my way today, going by Emporia. But like everyone there loves disc golf, and you were talking about how you were getting recognized. Like, does that give you a massive morale boost compared to other tournaments where it's like, oh yeah, there's just some tournament I can't go to the park today because there's some
Right.
disc golf thing going on.
Yeah. So at Jonesboro, they were there, but they weren't allowed on the entire course. Like they had
Mm.
roped off areas where they could be. Um, but yeah, they were all there on hole one at Jonesboro, and that was just like we hadn't felt that in a long time. Long time since probably Waco round one and last year. And
Mm-hmm.
round two, I threw roller off the tee. I was playing with Philo. Trying to think of the rest of my card, but I go roller on hole one at Jonesboro, and I freaking nailed it. Goes up the hill, circles the pin, dude, and the crowd just goes nuts. And like I mean, we haven't felt that feeling in a long time, and it was just so cool. And like the crowd went crazy, and that was just like, yeah, there's definitely a boost to that, and like you feel the energy when you throw a good shot. So
Yeah.
it's definitely awesome to have him back.
Yeah, you saw that a little bit with Ricky, and his situation with his family. And I think it was it was you could see Ricky like with the fans back, he had some amazing shots that weekend.
Hmm.
And just like with the like some of the shots that he made, like that backing and like having the fans behind him watching that, I feel like that was really good for him. And you could see like how happy he was, out there playing and just being able to do what he loved, even though, what what he was going through. And so I think that shows just how much power, that those fans bring to the game.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure by hole 16 it was decided like Paul would have to do something horrible not to win, at the end of that
Yeah.
round. But Ricky steps up to that drop zone putt, man, and he drains it. And like I guarantee, with everything that happened with him, I'm sure he was having a lot of emotions, but that 20 seconds it took him to run to the,
Yeah.
the basket and get his disc, guarantee he wasn't thinking about it. He was on cloud
Yeah.
nine. I'm sure that was awesome for him. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That was one hell of a throw in. He had a great tournament, and yeah, it was just so fun having the fans back. Hopefully, more tournaments will allow fans to just be back, and we can get a little bit back to normalcy. So,
yeah.
something I also would love to talk to you today about, Zach, is dialing in that accuracy. So, I was reading on the Dynamic Discs website, your team profile page, and it says that worrying more about that accuracy is important because the distance will come, but, and this is kind of true, you can throw 500 feet, but if it's 500 feet in the wrong direction and out of bounds, does it really even matter in the first place? So I'd love
Right.
to get into a little bit of a discussion of dialing in that accuracy. So I guess, what are some things that you're thinking about when you step up to the tee and you're, going to do that first drive? What is going through your head when you're thinking about an accurate shot? What are you thinking about?
Okay, so like unless you're playing on the pro tour, and your goal is to be like a professional disc golfer and play the hardest courses in the country, which is what we play. More often than not, you're playing holes like 350 and shorter, If we're just talking in
Mhm.
general, most courses are shorter. So
Yeah.
like trying to throw hard and throw far is great, but like if you're wanting to do well at your tournaments and whatever division you're playing in, like throwing accurately and shorter, like that's gonna help you out. Like you need distance going against the best, but you don't really have to have distance to just go out and play disc golf. So that's kind of where that quote came from, that mindset. It's the guy who runs our local club, Tim Barr. He's just a Tennessee legend. He's hosted a couple majors here. Like he's the man, and he's still competitive playing pro, and he throws maybe 350, but he throws it where he wants it, and he makes his putts most of the time. So like, that just kind of proves, distance isn't just the most important thing. But when it comes to like, stepping up to a shot, I feel like most people, I don't think they put a lot of thought into like, okay, what's the higher percentage throw to get the result that I want more often than not, right? Like if a shot is a big power sidearm throw, but you may not have that in your wheelhouse, like why go to that? Like why
So,
force that? If that's not really your thing, throw a backhand turnover that gives you a 40-footer, but it gives you that 40-footer every time. Maybe you make that putt one or two, three times out of 10. Maybe you throw the sidearm and you park it once, but then you like roll your wrist over and you throw it OB like three other, it's just kind of putting a little thought into like the percentages of what can I do more often than not.
and so, some people, like you said, that sidearm is in their wheelhouse. And so they become comfortable and they want to improve that accurate shot. So they quit using that sidearm. Would you say it's necessarily bad, if you're just a casual player to not have an amazing sidearm as good as your, backhand?
I mean, I feel like it's always good to keep working, and keep like when I go out and play casual rounds, like throw them both,
Yeah.
throw them both, putt from them both. Like that's the only way you're going to get better is reps, and putting a little time into it. But I don't think it has to be like a necessity. I mean, I think if you're trying to move up the ranks, like if you look in the professional disc golf, like almost everyone has a sidearm now,
Yeah.
everyone's got both. So it's kind of become a necessity on the highest level. But yeah, like you're talking about, I mean, if you just go out and you're just throwing frisbees for fun, like it's just, you know, do what you got and like have fun doing it.
And I know the simple answer to my question I'm about to say is do more reps, throw more, and you'll figure it out. But like, is there any way to, let's say you're looking at a 300-foot hole and the play is a righty backhand hyzer, right? Or,
Hmm.
even a lefty backhand high, whatever you're doing, you're just going with a straight, simple hyzer, right? So like, is there any way to kind of, I guess, give like a mental indication of like, okay, if I'm going to throw this on a hyzer, I need to aim 60 feet to the right or 60 feet to the left. Like, is there anything that you're thinking about when it comes to that? Or is it just really down to getting those reps in, understanding what your disc is going to do? And through that understanding of what your disc is going to do, you're going to be able to dial in more where you should be aiming to let the disc finish.
Yeah, I think like best case scenario, you know how your discs fly and how they all fly on different angles. So like, this 300-foot hole you're talking about, like when you step up, I feel like you want to be knowing was it a mid range on a hyzer or is it like an overstable fairway type Firebird type disc that it's almost like a flat stall hyzer that you hit out flat and then just let it dump, like because there's all kinds of different shots. So it's really just kind of understanding and knowing how your discs fly for you, or what's the best case that you can get to that hole. Like for me, when I first started playing, learning to play in the woods, I threw straight shots a lot. I threw straight putters, straight mids, and then I hit the road and I started touring, and it's like, wow, there's not much woods out here until you come back to the East Coast, right? So I had to learn how to play like the hyzer game. Like going to Arizona, you want to throw a hyzer, you have to, realize that when your disc hits the ground, you're going to get 30 more feet of skip play than you're used to. So it's like, okay, throw a hyzer, put it out wide. Okay, now aim like 30 more feet wider. That way you get the skip, and then the roll. And so it's kind of just learning that as you go, and kind of understanding how different places play.
What is, you said you played a lot of in the woods, Tennessee, straight shots. What do you think helped you out the most learning or figuring out those straight shots?
Learning to throw a putter.
Okay.
Absolutely learning to throw putters. Putters, when you throw poorly, they flutter, they flip, it looks bad. When you miss with a putter, you really miss, and it shows your flaws. So like learning to be able to throw a putter, I feel like if you can throw a putter and control it, different angles, you can throw anything, really.
When you're throwing that putter, do you recommend something that's pretty neutral? So, for example, I just started to throw a West Side Crown, which I think is like a 3401.
Hmm.
Would you recommend something like that, or would you maybe try to go to something more like a harp that's overstable, more of an approach than a putt kind of disc?
I like the neutral. I like the neutral straighter disc. Like taking a disc like that and being able to teach yourself how to throw it on turn, on hyzer, straight. Like I think that's very valuable. You're not just learning one throw, which is hard and
Hmm.
let it fade. You're learning all three different shots.
What about the grip on the putter? Are you doing the same as you would a driver, or do you change it up a little bit?
So I do power grip putters when I'm throwing them harder, but I also learned a fan grip to go with it for those 200 sub 200-foot shots, because I think having a fan grip just gives you a little bit more control and there's not as much spin. You're not having to throw as hard. So, and if you only power grip all the time, then for a 150-foot upshot, you're going to have to like baby it and kind of change speeds and like,
Yeah.
you know, overthink it. So I think learning, I mean, I know some guys that just throw everything with a power grip, or modified power or fan grip or whatever. So, I think it's good to have both. I'm pretty sure Shoestrick, he had a quote back in the day that he felt like his game really took off when he taught himself a fan grip and got
Hmm.
better with kind of controlling stuff. I'm pretty sure I remember reading that somewhere. It's like he could throw far and he could crush, but then he like made himself learn a fan grip and just added that little bit of control, and it benefited him a long way.
For those who might not be exactly sure what a fan grip is, could you maybe explain like what a fan grip is and maybe how it's a little bit different than a power grip?
So power grip is going to be all four fingers kind of like tucked into the rim. And I know I've played with a lot of guys, and I ask questions. Like I'm pretty sure Michael Johansson tucks this finger and then these three fan on the bottom of the disc. So a fan grip is going to be where you're not just gripping all fingers into the rim. There's a bunch of different ones. I kind of do one where I tuck my pointer finger and my pinky finger, and then the middle and the ring kind of fan out. Um, I've heard that called a modified fan. I've also heard it called a modified power. Everybody's got a million names for stuff, but basically that fan grip is where you're getting some fingers out on the bottom of the flight plate, and getting a little bit more feel and coverage on the disc.
That just a little bit to make sure the disc comes out easier, a little more smooth on the release, as opposed to the power grip. You're putting more power into it, so it's going to come out regardless.
Yeah, I think it just gives a little more control. You got a little more coverage holding onto the disc, and it's not just ripping off four fingers and generating a lot of spin. A little bit slower generally.
And then I guess another question I have is, let's say, you're in the woods, you're trying to throw that really straight shot. You don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. I know sometimes when you're driving, you could kind of fall off to the right, if that makes sense. And your disc will kind of trail to the right a little bit, or, you can really throw that extreme hyzer. And so is there anything, I guess, with your body that would help throwing that straight shot, like maybe doing I don't want to say less, but like a smaller X step to maybe try to point your body in a straighter direction? Is that kind of the key to throwing a straight shot, or what do you think?
I think when you're throwing in the woods, I think it's easier to hit a gap if you take an understable disc and you're throwing with hyzer kind of into the gap and let the disc work for you, versus trying to throw a neutral disc flat and then just hit it perfectly and have it perfectly go down the tunnel, right? I think it's generally easier for more people to just throw on a hyzer angle. So if you're trying to learn to throw better in the woods and hitting gaps, I would suggest taking a more understable disc and trying to hyzer flip into the shot. It just seems to be easier to hit than that perfect flat throw every time.
Cool. So playing in Tennessee, we talk a lot about, shape or shaping lines. Did you learn that, tell us a little bit about that, how people learn their bags, learn their discs, but playing in the woods, I feel like it's a little bit different, learning to shape lines in the woods. How did you go about that?
So that time when I was pretty quickly became one of the better advanced players, and then was kind of playing pro locally, regionally, and then kind of stepping into pro. We had some really good players here in East Tennessee. Tim Barr, that I mentioned, has been a great player for a long time. Tim Alston and Jason Light were the two really good pros here. Jason Light was sponsored by Innova back in the day. He's been sponsored by Prodigy. I think he's sponsored by Infinite now. Just a really good player. Both of them used to play a lot and tour a little bit back in the early 2000s. So really good players, and they would just kick my butt here in East Tennessee because they could throw putters and they could throw mids, And so I think for me, the better I got at learning to control the slower discs, the better I got at playing in the woods, and the better I got at keeping up with those guys. But definitely watching them shape the woods with understable putters, beat up mids. That was just wild to watch because I've kind of always had a sidearm from the beginning. So I never really had to work on throwing understable stuff to go left because I always had that flick. But it's definitely a different shot, the flippy backing compared to an overstable sidearm.
Yeah, well, I think this has been a fantastic discussion. I feel as though we could literally go all night about this, but let's jump into the ace round. Horatio,
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and explain for any of the new listeners out there what the ace round is, and go ahead and start us off with the first question.
Okay, yeah. So you're taking a buddy out, to buy their first set of discs. They've played with you for a while, and let's just say it's Tennessee. A lot of wooded courses. What one putter, mid, and driver would you recommend to them?
Are they pretty new? Are they a newbie?
Yeah, they've played a couple rounds. They're hooked, and they want to learn.
Okay. Putter, we're going to go with the Deputy by Dynamic Disc. Very understable putter. So it'll be good for putting, but also be able to throw. Mid-range, we just had a disc come out called the Bounty last year, and it's basically like a super flat Comet. That's what it reminds me of. Understable mid, lots of glide. And then driver, I would have to say the Maverick. obviously, because that's my disc, so I better have him throwing a Maverick. But no, that's a like that 7-speed understable fairway, so it'd be good too. Understable is good for newbies.
Yeah, definitely a big fan of that Maverick for sure. The second
Let's go.
question okay, side note. Okay, I guess I'm
All
getting
right.
into it. The Maverick was the first disc I ever hit an ace with. So got a special place in the heart with that. That disc officially has been retired. My girlfriend threw it for a little bit. She was doing pretty good with it, and then it just somehow came out of her bag one day, and I said, all right, probably time I go ahead and retire that disc, put it in with the collection. But yeah, absolutely love the Maverick.
That's
big
awesome.
Big fan. So the second question we have for you guys, favorite course you have played or one course you would love to play?
Okay. Favorite course I have played. I've played, oh man, what's it called? I played European Masters. Yarva. Wow. Couldn't think of it. Yarva is incredible. And I think they almost lost it, or were trying to keep from losing it over there. But imagine like just the most awesome disc golf course taking care of like a ball golf course. It's got par 4s, par 3s, wooded, open. It's got everything. It's incredible.
Is that the Beast?
No, the Beast is in Nokia, Finland.
Okay.
Yarva is in Sweden.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Stockholm. Stockholm, if I'm not wrong. I think I'm right, but
it sounds really nice. A lot of people have talked about that one, I think. All right. Question number 3. The number one tip you would give to yourself just starting out in your disc golf journey?
It's okay to play for par. You don't have to try to birdie every single hole. You know what I mean? You don't.
I know what you mean.
Dude, it's okay to just throw it down the fairway and chip up. It's all good. That's actually when I made a step from being like a local newer am to like becoming a better am. I got better at up shots and just throwing it under the basket, getting stress-free pars and getting out.
Yeah.
So it's okay to play for par.
I think that's a very good piece of advice. One we have not heard yet. I really like that one. The fourth question we have for you, what is your favorite memory playing disc golf?
I think playing on lead card at USDGC. I got to play on lead card with Nate Doss, who is a disc golf hero of mine for sure, someone I've looked up to. I've got to play a handful of rounds with him. Just awesome professional guy, but yeah, so that lead card round, he had a really rough go of it, right? I think he might have been leading, but he just had a tough round. And just watching the way he carried himself and the professionalism he showed, that just really set the bar. It's like, even when I've kind of always said, like, you learn more about people when they struggle than when they're playing good. Everybody's happy when they play good. So seeing him handle himself that way and getting that experience of playing in front of people at Winthrop, definitely one to cherish.
Yeah, I've watched some tapes of Nate Doss playing, and that guy is very technical. I feel like that's the word that comes to mind. He keeps his composure and sticks to his game plan. It's very, very interesting, very fun to watch him play, for sure. All right, the last question we got here for you is, what is the biggest mistake you see new players make?
Throwing speed 13, 14 discs as like the 5th disc they've ever bought, which I feel like in general, all disc golf companies market the big, new, bad, fast disc. Everyone does it. And that's what they push because that's what they want people to buy, and people buy it and they're just not ready for it. So I think throwing discs that are too fast for their arm speed early on. Yeah,
that has definitely been a hot answer as of late. I want to say that might be our 3rd out of our last like 4 interviews or something like that has had that answer. It could be a clean sweep. I'd have to go back and listen again.
I'm such a copycat, dude. It's embarrassing.
I guess. But hey, that's the hot answer. This was a hot episode, Zach. I had a ton of fun. Hopefully you did as well. For everyone listening at home, hopefully you enjoyed this episode as well. Zach, before we get out of here, where can the people follow you at? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, if you have any of those.
MySpace.
MySpace. If you're still on that. Pinterest. Disc Golf Pinterest is popping apparently.
I did not know that. Wow.
Any sponsors or any thanks you want to get before we get out of here?
I'm on Facebook, Zach Melton. Instagram, ZMelton38631, and then I think Zach Melton87 on Twitter. I'm on all three of those quite a bit, kind of talking and chatting with people. Yeah, my sponsors, Dynamic Discs, they've been amazing. Throw More Disc Golf Store and Tri-Fi Disc Golf are the two stores that I represent that have just been huge, helping me out. Whale Sacks, Tina, got to give her a shout out. She's amazing. And then a couple new ones for this year, Dope Discs. He dyes discs, puts out some pretty frisbees. I've been throwing those. And Entangled Biome out from Oregon with natural products, just helping me feel good on the course. So got to give those guys some love.
You need a sponsor for your beard, I feel
Dude,
like.
for real. Hook it up.
Ben had a barbershop sponsor.
He would, dude. He would. He's so pretty. He would. Prettiest disc golfer on tour.
You got to get one for the beard. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know it's late out there. We really appreciate you. You guys have a busy schedule. Anytime you take out of your day, we really appreciate it. Best of luck to you in the rest of the season, and hope to see you on Lead Card soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the love.
Thank you for listening to the Chain Clankers podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers, and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us from so you never miss another episode.